Have you ever wondered if our human species had an optimal food source, an optimal diet? When I look at the wild and I look at the animal kingdom, I see lions, they all eat the same thing. I see giraffe, they all eat the same thing. I see monkeys, they all eat the same thing. Every animal species will eat their optimal food source and they will all eat the same thing. And yet we as human beings are all over the place. When I look over here, I see people following a carnivore diet, eating like lions. And then when I look over there, I see people eating plant-based diet. And then society is telling us that we have to consume or we have to eat like an omnivore. Wow, so much confusion here. We've got a lot to talk about. Hello everyone, this is Kevlan, and today I wanted to talk about food. Have you ever noticed that when you go to a supermarket today, there is one aisle that says natural food? So have you ever wondered what's on the other aisles? To me, when I go to a grocery store today, I realize that 90% of the food that we can buy in a grocery store is actually not food. It's actually deprived from life force, deprived from any life, deprived from any minerals. It's pretty synthetic, it's grown in a lab, it's full of chemicals. And that's the sad part, that what we have been exposed to, what we are supposed to eat as human beings, everything has been processed, everything has been deprived from life force. So it's no wonder why today human beings are struggling when it comes to health, are struggling when it comes to energy, because we are not exposed to the right type of food. Before I go deeper and we start talking about what I think about what we're supposed to consume based on the design or the physiology and anatomy of the human beings, I need your help. If you've been following me for some time, if you like this content, if you like this type of topic, please smash the like button. It will really help me with the visibility and the YouTube algorithm. Comment wherever you are from, or if you have any, or if you like the video, or if you have any, or if you want to share your thoughts and perspective also on the video today. I would love to hear from you. Subscribe to my channel. That will really be much appreciated and really help so that my content could be shared to more people. So what I wanted to talk about today is food. And the reason why is when we look at the amount of food we consume every day, we in average consume we eat 3 times a day. So we can imagine that we are consuming a lot of food. And I always say whatever we consume will consume us. So whatever we put in our mouth will consume us. So if we are putting the right type of food, it will help to boost our energy and to perpetuate the life we have within. And if we don't consume the right food, then obviously the body will struggle, and that will create some elements, that will create some problems down the line. Now, obviously, food is only one indicator, is only one parameters when it comes to health. There is so many other aspects that I've covered in many of my other videos, but today I really wanted to focus on the food topic and share my perspective on what I think we are meant to consume, or what we've been designed to consume as human beings. Again, when I look at the wild, when I look at the animal kingdom, I see every species on this planet, they will eat the same thing. They will eat the right food, and it's kind of a natural thing when we come into this planet. Lions, they know what they're supposed to eat. Giraffes, they know what they are supposed to eat. And all the giraffes will just consume the same type of food. All the lions will consume the same type of food. And we can go on and on and on. When we look at the entire animal kingdom, they will just consume the same type of food based on the species, based on the design, the anatomy, the physiology that they have. And yet, we live in a time of confusion. We have, like, as human beings, we have people consuming very extreme on the spectrum. Some people will consume only animal products. Some people will consume only plant-based products. Some people will consume a bit of everything. Some people will just eat fruits. So we're pretty much all over the place. And we see people claiming that we are supposed to eat this, or we are supposed to eat that, we are supposed to eat that. And there is this, people fighting and arguing about what we're supposed to eat as human beings. So now, generally, a species will be eating a type of food based on their anatomy, based on the physiology that we will have. So based on our digestive system, based on our mouth, on our teeth, based on on the acid alkaline balance that we have, that will give us indication about what we're supposed to consume in terms of food. Now, when we look at the research, when we look at the science, when I look at my own experience, to me, and again, I want to start with by saying the original state of the human body, because obviously the human body has been weakened when we look at the last centuries, even millennia, based on the environment, based on what we've been exposed to, the food, the traumas, and so on and so forth. Our body has been weakened through what I call through epigenetic mechanism. And if you don't know what is epigenetics, I talked a little bit about it in one of my videos in the past, but to be, from a high level, epigenetics means that your genes, your genome, so that will have all those genes, based on the signal, based on the environment. So when I say the environment, it's the external environment, so where you live, where you breathe, where you consume, where you eat, and so on and so forth. What you feel will affect and will trigger or activate or trigger some gene on and off. So it will just turn on genes on and off based on the environment, based on the signal that the genes or the antennas we're going to receive from your state of mind and your state of being. So through this is going to generate or is going to affect the way the production of proteins, and proteins are basically the building blocks. So all the organs that you have, or the entire body, entire human body is made of proteins. And when you just build like Lego, you just put them together, it's going to create an organ. But the protein are based on or are created by your RNA, your DNA, your genes, and the information that they have. So based on the trigger on and off, based on the environment, the production of the proteins will be affected. Sometimes because the role of the body is to survive, no matter where you are, no matter what you're going to consume, is to survive. So some proteins will start to be more defective because the body will have to focus on some other part of yourself to ensure this stays healthy and vital in order to perpetuate life within you. So long story short, what I wanted to say is, based on the original design, I believe that the human body is meant to consume, or has been designed to consume, what I call high frequency, high energy type of food, alkaline type of food. So where do we find basically living life, like living energy, or living food? So every type of food that has been grown outside and there's a sun. So when we look at vegetables, when we look at fruits, for example, to me are the highest type of food that we can consume, because it's full of life force, and again in a raw form, because when we go through cooking, it's going to affect obviously the enzymes, but it's also going to affect the energy that the life force, the food is going to have. And a lot of people in the nutrition space are going to focus on the calories, are going to focus on the chemicals, the minerals that you can get from this type of food, but they never talk about the energetic aspect of the food. And there are many research that I also talk a little bit in my past videos, but some research where they were actually measuring the energy of the food, and measuring like the frequency, the energy of the food, and the impact of the energy of the food that we have on our human body. When we start to understand that we are not material people or material beings, we are energetic beings, and everything is based on energy, everything is based on frequency, we start to realize that it's very important that we consume energy food full of energy, full of life force. And unfortunately, as I said initially in the video, 90% of the food that we can find in the grocery store has been completely deprived from life force, completely deprived from this energy. And if we were able to measure all the food we were consuming, we realized there is basically no energy, there is nothing in there. So I truly believe that we are meant to consume this type of food, high frequency, high energy, lots of life force type of food, even when we look at the organic, it's not the same as it used to be. However, I truly believe raw fruits, raw vegetables, we can even say nuts and seeds, are the best type of food that the human body has been designed to consume. Now, another thing I wanted to say is our species was designed to live in the tropical zone, where we could have easy access to raw fruits, raw vegetables, and where those type of food would just grow all year round. But with the history, the migration, and human beings started to migrate in different parts of the world, and now we have human beings in every corner of the planet. We have even people living in the Arctic, in very, very remote places, very difficult places where there's nothing that could grow. Obviously, it's very hard for people to continue to consume only raw fruits and raw vegetables. So this is where people started to start consuming meat, start consuming fish, start consuming other type of food that are heavier, and also because that's the only type of food they could consume where they were. So based on this has obviously affected not the physiology or the anatomy, but the protein production of our body, and is going to affect, or is going to create some weaknesses over time, some genetic weaknesses over time in our human body. Because again, the body will adapt, because it's very resilient. It will adapt in a way that it could perpetuate life no matter where the environments, or no matter what you're going to be eating. It's going to adapt itself in order to perpetuate life as much as possible. But over time, it's going to affect it, and it's going to obviously start to create some what I call genetic weaknesses. And those genetic weaknesses are passed on from generations to generations. Today, geneticists say that we carry we carry genes with 4 to 5 generations before us. So it means the way your ancestor lived their life is affecting you, or is affecting the body, or the state of your current body. So if you're coming from a family tree that were heavy meat consumer, because depending where they lived and the food and the environment they lived, obviously, and now tomorrow you decide, you know what, I'm going to stop eating meat and I'm going to consume raw fruits and raw vegetables because that's what I think we're supposed to consume as human beings. It's going to be very difficult. You're going to struggle, not because the food is bad to you, or or it's not the type of food you're supposed to consume, but because the body has adapted itself for generations and generations, and you're going to go against generations and generations of heavy eat or animal products that will be a struggle for the body. So that's the reason why when we look at people say, you know, I went plant-based and I struggled, so I know we're not supposed to eat plant-based, whereas when I switched to a carnivore diet and I was just eating meat, for example, it was much easier for me, and I go back, I have more energy. And to me, the reason is not because the raw fruit and raw vegetables are not meant to be eaten by your specific, design, because again, no matter where you live, we all have the same anatomy, all the same physiology, because we share the same species. But it's because of your family tree and the current state of your human body, the weaknesses that you have, and the way your ancestors lived their life. So if your ancestors come from the north and they lived their life in a certain environment and were consuming a lot of animal product, now for you going against it, you're going to go against 10, 12, 15 generations before you, and obviously it's going to be very, very difficult for you. Whereas people, if you're a family tree coming from the tropical zone and they have more access to raw food, vegetables, and fruits, and so on and so forth, perhaps it's going to be easier for you to go to a plant-based diet, or to eat more of this type of food that we're supposed to consume. So I just wanted to share my take on this. To me, I truly believe at this point that the more we can eat raw fruit and raw vegetables, the more we can increase the energy that we have within. We can increase the signal, because again, the food we consume is going to create a static, like when you turn the radio, sometimes you can hear the radio very well. You hear background noise, or you hear the static. So that's going to be the same thing. The type of food we're going to have is going to create more static. So if you eat ultra processed food, if you eat food that is completely deprived of life force, of energy, or things like that, obviously you're going to create more static, which means it's going to be much harder for you to listen to your intuition, to your inner voice, to your heart, because you're going to have all this static that will go against it. And on the other hand, if you can consume more raw foods and raw vegetables, it doesn't mean today you have to switch to only this. You have to honor your family tree, you have to honor where you're from, your environment. But I think if you could consume a little bit more of this every single day, you're going to increase and help your body at least have more life force energy, more energy, because that's what the body is meant to design initially, is to design this type of food and be getting more energy from life, from the sun, from nature overall. On top of that, and I'm just going to talk very, very quickly about that, but again, food is one aspect, but I think on top of what we consume, it's how we consume it that is also very, very important, and that's what I've noticed. Because if you live your life in in anxiety, if you're stressed, if you live your life in fear and survival, no matter what you're going to consume, even if you're going to consume the best diet, the best food ever, the body is not going to be able to absorb it or digest it properly, because again, the way you live and the way you feel is going to affect the way the body will be able to ingest or digest properly. So if you live your life in fear and survival, no matter what you're going to consume is not going to be good for you. So I would say the first step is really to work on yourself, your emotion. The emotional aspect is so important when it comes to nutrition. And again, people in nutrition, they don't really talk about that. They isolate the nutrition from the rest and say, this is what we're supposed to eat, and to get the right minerals, to get the right balance, calories, and so on and so forth. But they neglect the energy of the food, and they also neglect the emotional aspect of someone, because again, if you are in a survival mode, no matter what you're going to consume, your body is not going to be able to actually use it properly, to absorb it properly, to digest it properly. So this is where you need to start. We all need to start by working on our emotions, on our state, our emotional states, to be more, to find this inner peace within, so that then we can start to incorporate more food that are full of energy, full of life force, when the body is more structured or in a better state to actually start consuming this type of food and being able to utilize the energy from the food for health and repair and maintenance and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much my thoughts on nutrition and food. Again, you have to honor where you are. You have to honor your belief system. You have to honor how your ancestors live their life, and just go with that. And ensure also you can work on your emotional state, because that's really the most important aspect when it comes to nutrition. Again, if you like this content, I would appreciate if you can smash the like button down below. It will help with the YouTube algorithm and the YouTube visibility. I would love to hear from you also when it comes to diets, and I would love to hear where you are from and what type of food, or what I've been thriving on. Some people will thrive on different type of food, so I would love to hear that. If you like the video, again, subscribe to my channel so you can be informed when the next video will be published. I also left in the link down below my book, The Science of Breaking Free. There is an entire chapter dedicated to food, where I talk about all those scientific experiments, talking about the energy of the food and how it was measured and what was observed and how it was affected our biology and our health. So if you're interested in knowing more about the science behind it, I invite you to check it out. It's on Amazon, and I'll have the link down below. Also, I have the link down below about my website. If you want to work with me, if you want to contact me, I would love to hear from you. So check it out. In the meantime, I wish you well, and I'll see you in the next one.